Gamers, today we're gonna watch a video together. I've seen this video and I thought it sounded interesting enough, so I was like, I'll watch it on stream. So the video is called The State of Real-Time Strategy Games in 2023. Let's go.
Today we're going to be taking a look at the state of real-time strategy in 2023. We're going to be taking a look at the big games, the small games, and everything in between. There will be links in the description for every game we talk about today.
That's our game right there.
So go check them out if you're interested. Let's start with the established franchises, the big kids on the block, the ones that generate the biggest buzz and pull in the most players.
Sins of Solar Empire? That's the only game I've never heard of. I've heard of all these other ones. Even though I haven't played like Total War. I haven't played Homeworld in a while. Company of Heroes I played. d.o.r.f I haven't played, but Sins of Solar Empire?
Age of Empires is doing very well for itself right now. Ever since Age 2 Definitive came out, the series has been on an upwards trajectory to a degree not seen since the 2000s. It's the tip of the spear of the series' return to...
Wait. Is the game that he's watching lagging? Are you guys seeing that?
Seen since the 2000s. It's the tip of the spear of the series' return to form. It pulls in the most players on Steam by far, eclipsing the rest of the series combined, and is receiving new DLC expansions every year or so that bring in new civs, campaigns, and more. The last expansion, Return of Rome, ported most of the original AoE 1 Definitive content right into AoE 2, to positive community praise. I've reviewed that in full if you're interested, though I wasn't as keen on it as the rest. Outside of AoE 2, we've got Age 4 and Age 3 Definitive still pulling in respectable numbers on the daily. And over the horizon...
Dude, Age 3 just looks so weird. It just doesn't look like other Age of Empire games at all.
We've got Age of Mythology Retold, ready to bring us all back into the world of gods and monsters. Hopefully at a quality level at least on par with Age 2 Definitive. As for the future of the series, I mean, who can say really? I'd be surprised if there hadn't been some team meetings around a potential Age of Empires 5, more expansions to Age 2, or hell, even spin-off games.
I don't know about Age of Empires 5. Like, Age of Empires 4 came out a year and a half ago. I would probably assume if there's Age of Empires 5, it's gonna start development in like 2 years, maybe a year. Well, not development, but like talks about it.
There was that Age of Empires mobile announcement a while back, but we'll just have to see if that amounts to anything. I don't think we've had any word on it past the announcement. Hey, one sec. Do you like what I do here? Then, if you do, consider dropping a sub and a like on the video. It means a lot. I hugely appreciate it. And if you want to go further, then you can support me on Patreon or here on YouTube for as little as $1 a month.
Dude, I should do that.
Company of Heroes. Ooh,
Take a sip of coffee. Look at this. Like this. Do you like what I do here? Make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.
Okay, so I've definitely said my piece on COH3 across a number of videos, but if you haven't seen them, the TLDR is that I like the game, and I think it's overall a solid product and a good entry. I understand that people have their issues with it, but I also think it's been unfairly ridiculed, and caught a life-threatening case of cool to dunk on Company of Heroes 3-itis. We'll see what happens in the coming months, but thankfully for everyone, there are other games in the series which still remain popular. Company of Heroes 2, perhaps embarrassingly for Relic, still pulls in more players than the sequel, probably because it's still fantastic to play today, despite its cringe microtransaction store that is far worse than anything in the sequel. Changed my mind. The original game doesn't hold a...
Wait, are you buying in-game artillery with microtransactions? No? Then what is this? Commanders? It's a victory script? What do you mean it's a victory script? It costs... Look, it literally, you can see it right here. It costs 3,750. Oh, it's for when you win. Okay, dude, I thought you were like buying... Okay, never mind.
Worse than anything in the sequel. Changed my mind. The original game doesn't hold a player base like its sequel, but it's still a great option to play with your mates in a comp stomping session. Plus, there's a bunch of great mod options too. Some of you probably would argue that Sins of a Solar Empire isn't one of the big dogs.
Oh, this is
but
like
hey,
Homeworld.
it's my list, and to its credit, it's been around for quite a while.
It's in space.
It's also had a lot of players over the years, not to mention a ton of mods too, and there's a new release coming out sometime soon. Yes, if you somehow missed it, Sins of a Solar Empire 2 is currently available in early access with a full release somewhere on the horizon. I've made a couple of videos on it, which you can of course have a look at if you're interested. There's no date on version 1.0, but so far Sins 2 is looking great, and personally I'm really excited. As mentioned, the mod scenes for Sins Rebellion is very built out at this point. We'll have to see how Sins 2 lands of course, whether that's this year or next, but the future is looking bright for the franchise, especially if the sequel ends up with the kind of legs that its predecessor has. Homeworld is in an interesting spot right now. It's one of the oldest series in this video, with the original game being around since 1999, and without any releases since Deserts of Karak in 2016, a layman may wonder why it's here in the video and not in the missing in action section later on. Well, that's of course because Homeworld 3 is coming out very soon. In fact, it was supposed to be out already, a couple of times actually. Most recently it was slated for the first half of this year, but it's recently been pushed out to February of next year. Look, take all the time in the world, I say. I trust Blackbird to do a good job with this one, based on their last few games, and I'd hate to see it rushed out in an incomplete state. Watch this space on how it lands, but if Homeworld 3 launches well, I'd say it's full ahead for one of the all-time greats of real-time strategy. Stronghold has always held a place in my heart, ever since I played the first game back in the early 2000s.
I'm going to play the new
get back to
Stronghold,
that level of castle building and RTS that Stronghold offered and no other game seemingly could. But we've never really seen a return to the quality of that original game. Crusader was great of course, but it's pretty much an expansion to the first game, let's be honest. And since then, the quality has swung wildly from pretty good to pretty not so good. The latest release, Warlords, I thought was decent, and probably the best of the 3D Stronghold games to release. I haven't played this one. Though that's not really saying a lot, all things considered. Firefly have stated that there's a new entry in the works right now, Stronghold Unreal, built on the Unreal Engine, you might be able to guess. And we, of course, just heard about the definitive edition of the original game, something that I'm very excited for. And that's coming out later this year, November 7th. Total War, okay, this is the series that's probably in the best spot right now. With the Warhammer trilogy being really popular, and Three Kingdoms honestly still doing pretty well for itself, the future's bright for the now over 20-year-old series. The biggest game in the series right now is undoubtedly Warhammer 3. While its launch was a little lackluster, now that it's had a couple of years to cook with updates and DLC, plus the Immortal Empires map, bringing in content from the first two Warhammer games, it's in a great place, with years of support in front of it.
That looks cool.
And on the historical side, Total War Pharaoh was just announced, focusing on ancient Egypt. While I love Total Warhammer, I've always had a soft spot for the historical entries, and I'm personally quite hopeful that they stick the landing with this one. We shall see. I wasn't the biggest fan of the last historical Total War game in Troy, and I never played Three Kingdoms. I should probably do that. So I am pretty hopeful that they stick the landing with this one, because I'm ready for another really good historical Total War game. Alright, it's time for the sad section. These are the ones that aren't quite dead, but they are certainly missing in action. Old favourites Warcraft and Starcraft are the most lifeless here, and I don't really see a world—
What?! Bro, come on. Really? Homeworld and Sins of Solar is alive and Starcraft and Warcraft are dead?
Where either of them return anytime soon, or frankly, ever. Warcraft had its chance with Warcraft 3 Reforged, and we all know how that—
True though? You guys do know, I'm pretty sure Starcraft has the biggest Twitch and player base. Oh, does he mean in terms of development? Oh, maybe, if he means in terms of development, then yeah. Yeah, okay, sure.
And I doubt
then they're dead. Yeah, they're dead. Yep.
I'm trying that again. StarCraft, I don't really know here. I'm a little confused. By all accounts, StarCraft 1 Remastered was really good and well received. But there just hasn't been any word on it since StarCraft 2's expansions and since that remaster. And now with seemingly most of the RTS devs from Blizzard moved on either to Frost Giant or somewhere else, I doubt that anything like a StarCraft 3 is anywhere close to honestly even being thought about. I'd be surprised if there was a folder on the Blizzard server about it. We will just have to see on that one. Dawn of War is very much in limbo right now. Dawn of War 3 was, well, not well received, but I am going to go to bat for this one. I think it was simply misunderstood and then left to languish by Relic as a knee-jerk reaction to that initial criticism. But regardless, Relic has right now got their hands full with turning around.
What's the difference between Dawn of War and Company of Heroes? It looks exactly the same. Even the map looks the same.
Perception on Company of Heroes, so I don't think
that's
we'll be having
okay. Never mind.
any news on the Dawn of War sequel anytime soon.
Never mind.
I could, however, maybe see a remaster of the original happening. It seems to be all the rage these days. And hopefully that would be an easy W for Relic to regain some consumer faith.
I was like, that shit looks exactly the same!
But we'll have to wait and see if Sega decides they've maybe just had enough and closes the studio down. I hope not, but it's happened before. Thankfully, even if anything like that does happen, it's super easy to go back and play those original games through Steam if you're so inclined, and they still play really, really well. Lastly, Command & Conquer. Oh man, you know, thanks to the success of CNC Remastered, I really thought we would have heard about a Tiberian Sun or Red Alert 2 remaster by now. I really, really did. But there's just not a lot to do with this one except wait. I do still think that it's an inevitability that it will happen. It's just a question of when. I wouldn't be totally shocked to see a brand new entry too, but again, it's just a waiting game at this point. Come on EA, the player base is primed, just foot the bill and send it. Let's go.
Alright, now it's time for the AA's and indie games. Now, just before we continue,
Yo, d.o.r.f!
please note,
d.o.r.f!
and I'm sure it's obvious for a lot of you, I can't cover every single game or talk about every release that's ever happened. I'll do my best to cover the most important ones, but if you think there's something important that I've missed, then chuck it in the comments and I'll be sure to
I'm playing d.o.r.f. I forgot what it was.
Men of War
but...
and Call to Arms are both still kicking. There's Men of War 2 coming later this year, and Call to Arms has been doing well for itself with Gates of Hell that dropped a couple of years ago. There's also, of course, the venerable Assault Squad 2 that everyone keeps telling me to play, so I'll try and do that soon. The series can be unforgiving, but if you're into the vibe of hardcore, tactical, real-time strategy, there's years of releases here to play if you're interested. Hopefully, with more on the way. d.o.r.f.
You know what's one of the best strategy games? Sudden Strike. Now that's a strategy game right there. A proper strategy game. That was a good one.
Is an upcoming old-school style RTS that captured many hearts and minds since it was revealed. If you're into the art style and miss the strategy days of old, this might be the game for you. It's still in development and there's no set release date, but I'd guess maybe 1 to 2 years. Stormgate is the new Blizzard-like RTS from Frost Giant Studios, formed by a team who worked on games like StarCraft and Warcraft. They had a gameplay reveal recently at the Summer Games Fest, and while it was definitely in alpha, it's looking promising. We'll know more later this year or into next, which is hopefully when there will be a beta to finally get our hands on it. Bar, or Beyond All Reason, is a spiritual successor to Total Annihilation. I've had my eye on this one for a while, and there's been a lot of buzz around it for a pretty long while now.
Bar.
It's still in development, but it's able to be played by anyone, so if you want to get in and try it, then there's a link in the description. Sanctuary, in a similar vein to Bar, is a spiritual successor, but this one is for Supreme Commander. There's a lot of hype behind this, and the devs are hoping to launch a Kickstarter sometime soon, and they've said that there should be a demo available in parallel to that launch. The game does seem to be decently far along in its development, with the Kickstarter aiming to lock in the final goals and garner community support, rather than just get the project off the ground. I'd keep my eye on this one. Crossfire Legion is an action RTS from Blackbird Interactive, creators of Homeworld, Deserts of Karak, Minecraft Legends, and the upcoming Homeworld 3, that takes place in the Crossfire series. It's quite a looker, and I had some fun with it last year. If it's your vibe, then this is complete, released, and in version 1.0, or whatever they're up to now.
Does this game have any player base?
Steam, so go check it out.
It's dead?
Tempest Rising is an upcoming action RTS that wears its Command & Conquer inspiration on its sleeve. There's no date yet on this one, nor are there any playable demos, but the trailers and gameplay footage are looking really good, and many people, me included, have high hopes for this, whenever it does end up arriving. Take your time, I say. Last Train Home is a really interesting looking RTS management hybrid game that was announced earlier last month at the Summer Games Fest. It has a bit of a Company of Heroes vibe in its RTS sections, while the management side sees you manage a travelling train with all of its carriages as you try and escape an enclosing civil war. Looks awesome, love the setting, and I am really excited for this one.
This looks like Commandos.
Warhammer Age of Sigmar Realms of Ruin is a Warhammer fantasy RTS from Frontier Developments, creators of games like Elite Dangerous and Planet Zoo. There was a beta for this one just a couple of weeks ago that I unfortunately missed, though the feedback I'm hearing is quite positive, though it's clear that the game wasn't without its issues. We'll see how this one shapes up, and it should be releasing later this year. Rat and Reich is a Company of Heroes / Men of War-like RTS that's currently in development, with its most obvious differentiator being that everything's a rat, or insect. Have fun. Oh, and it has a first-person mode too. Pretty sweet. It's had rounds of crowdfunding in the past, and there's no set date for release as of yet, though my initial impressions with an alpha build last year were quite positive. And I'm really keen to play this one when it releases. Right, last one, Broken Arrow is a large-scale tactical RTS that I can best describe as a spiritual successor to World in Conflict. Like others in this video, there was a beta recently that you could play, but unfortunately I missed that one too. Feedback was pretty positive though, as far as I heard, and while there's no release date yet, I'm quite excited for this one whenever it does end up dropping.
Damn, that looks
Alright,
good.
now it's time for mods.
It's pretty positive though, as far as I heard, and while there's no release date yet, I'm quite excited for this one whenever it does end up dropping.
Okay.
Alright, now it's time for mods. Again, like the small games and even the big games, I can't cover everything, but I've done what I think is most important and most impactful. But if I've missed any of your favourites, then leave them down below.
d.o.r.f.
Starting with Company of Heroes, there are a few here that are worth trying out. Blitzkrieg is one that I covered recently that's a really good option, but it is not for everyone. You kinda need to be the right person for it. Watch my video if you'd like to know more. But besides that, there's also Eastern Front, which I hear is also pretty good. Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever is not really a mod, but a complete revival of Supreme Commander's multiplayer. FAF has a great community and it's super easy to get up and running. I'd recommend it for anyone looking for a deep, large-scale RTS, especially if you've got some friends who are keen to play as well.
Wait, can I look at player, how many players each game has on Steam by sorted by strategy or RTS?
Star Wars Empire at War is the game that just keeps on giving, with new mods being created even to this day. There's a ton of great options, many of which I've featured on this channel before, like Thrawn's Revenge, Empire at War Remake, and Awakening of the Republic. But there's many more than those, and there's bound to be something that strikes your interest if you want to have a look. Sins of a Solar Empire is similar to Empire at War in the fact that it's had mods developed for it.
Okay, wrap up.
So yeah, that's the state of RTS in 2023. Honestly, it's doing pretty well. Not bad, really. There's a swath of options. There's quite a few big games, lots of AA's, always a ton of...
You know when... Yeah, that's a copium right there. But listen, it's kind of crazy. Like, if you think of all strategy games that exist, like RTS, am I the only one that's like, is that it? Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, that doesn't look like that many games. Like, okay, so alive games, right, that have games coming out are Homeworld, Stronghold, Total War, Company of Heroes, well, it came out recently, and then AoE and Sins. Then you got the games like Warcraft, StarCraft, Command & Conquer, and Dawn of War that have no updates. And then you got like a bunch of new games coming, like Crossfire Legion, Tempest Rising, d.o.r.f. Wait, is this d.o.r.f?
Art style and miss the strategy days of old, this might be the game for you. It's still in development and there's no set release date,
I missed it.
but I'd guess maybe 1 to 2 years.
Oh yeah, this is why I wanted to play d.o.r.f. right here. This is a rolling thing.
Stormgate.
So, like, I'm just thinking, if AoE 4 dies tomorrow, like let's say AoE 4 just disappears, servers are shut down, what would I play from these games? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know. Like, I'm interested in, like, maybe, like, playing Stronghold Remastered when it comes out. Like, AoE 3, I just can't play. The graphics are not it for me. I can't. It's like Minecraft. I just can't play Minecraft. I'm sure the gameplay is great, but the graphics just put me off. It's the same thing with AoE 3. I just can't. Like, something about the graphics is I just can't. So, like, the way I see it, there's like strategy games like AoE, like StarCraft, like Warcraft, that are more, you know, general, collect resources and attack. Like that's how I see it. Like Stormgate as well, like collect resources, make units and attack. And same thing with like Command & Conquer, Crossfire Legion, Timeless Rising. Then you have games in the space games, right? Like Homeworld games. Homeworld games, I haven't played since I was like a kid, but I just don't think I would enjoy it. I don't know. I just feel like maybe it's too slow. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I haven't played one in a long time. And then I feel like there are like the miniature games, like Supreme Commander, where it's like you don't actually micro anything, you just kind of rallies into stuff, like an auto battler almost. And then you have the squad games, like a Company of Heroes, where you move squads of units, right? I'm not really interested in squads. Well, I've played some Company of Heroes, but I don't know. And then you have like the rest is kind of like the weird games that are a little bit all over the place, right? I don't know. I honestly don't know which game I would have like switched to. Maybe I would just turn into a variety strategy streamer or something. I don't know. Because when I say play, I don't mean like play once. I mean like switch and stick to that fully. Northgard? I played Northgard. I was like rank 4 or 5 on the ladder. And the only reason I didn't get rank 1 is because the top players just fucking dodged and never played. Okay, wrap up.
These and some great mods, and even new mods that are coming out even to this day for older games. So no matter what your preference is, there is certainly a choice for you. What are you playing? What's your favorite RTS right now? Let me know in the comments, I would love to hear it. And thank you all so much for watching, I really do massively appreciate it. And an extra thanks to my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube. If you want to join, you can do so for as little as $1 a month. You'll get access to the community Discord. We play RTS games every month, plus there's some other benefits in there too.
Copium.
And of course, you'll join legends like, I've got the list right here, Aero, Jack, Nutty Jawa, Overlord Jebus, T Edits, Crispy Robo Chicken, XV204, Benjamin, David, Cynical Cheddar, Sebastian, Luke, Dakayo, Wintendo, Bad Ghosts, Sean, Grey Spirit 4, Peter, Tim, George, Needers, John Kaiser, and Juan. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And big thanks to my paladins, of course, Johnny, Marika, Eric, Thomas.
Dude, Marika? It's like Marika.
And Joe. Thanks so much, guys. Really do appreciate it.
Bailey's? I know, I'm joking.
I think there is actually another new patron that I have missed. I have Bram at the Cavalier tier, thank you. And Tank. Sorry, I just looked at the monitor there and not the camera. And I'll see you all next time. Cheers. Drink responsibly.
Alright. I mean, that's interesting. I'll link the video in the chat. That's interesting to kind of see like all the info gathered in one. I want to see the Steam charts. Where are the Steam charts? Someone linked them earlier. Okay. Most played RTS games. Dota 2. Okay. Well, I don't know about this. Hearts of Iron 4. Total War Warhammer? Wait, what the fuck? Do these games have stream numbers or no? Yeah, some of the games here don't belong. Let's just say that. Alright, cool stuff. Thank you guys for the link. Alright, if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know how it's going. I appreciate you, brother. Check me out on Twitch. Probably live right now. Bing, bada, boom.